My children have all grown up. Christmas when they were small was just amazing. Having little children and Christmas paper everywhere, it was just really fun and excited. And then suddenly they turn into teenagers and it filters down and then they leave home. So I found myself in a position where all my children are independent, living their lives as they should do. And whilst I'm living with Phil, and he's got 2 adult children as well, I was missing my own children and all the memories that we used to have as when the kids were growing up. And I've done a couple of Christmases without them, and then I suddenly thought I don't want to do another Christmas without them. I feel like going out into the world and seeing how Christmas is done somewhere else, to see how other people do it and how I will feel by sort of stepping away from Christmas and seeing how life is now, because it does change, doesn't it, as your children grow up.
I agree, it does. So why did you pick Spain?
Well, I googled somewhere warm to go because I thought if I'm going to go away at Christmas, I mean, when I went into Railing, my first book, I do have a long list of places I would love to go back to. But I was thinking Christmas is a bit chillier, isn't it? And if I go around Europe, like Prague I want to go to, there's loads of places. I thought, no, I'm going to go somewhere warm. And I just adore Spain anyway. So Andalucía. The reason I actually went to Andalucia is because I read a book called All My Mothers, which was set in Cordoba. So that was high on my list, and I've always wanted to go to Seveille. So those 2 places drew me into Andalucia.
Well, that's good. So off you went, and I believe that your first stop was Malaga.
Yes, I flew into Malaga. Yeah, Malaga's a lovely place. I will go back and spend some more time there. But yeah, it's full of Christmas lights. The lights are amazing in Larios Street.
That's what we want to talk about as we go through the little chat. Is what sort of festivities they were having and the lights, etc. After Malaga, because you did say that the harbour lights there were along the seafront were quite good. After that, then you moved on to Seville, did you? And,
yeah, I went to Ronda first, then Setenil. I went to a few places and ended up in Seville for Christmas Day. I wanted to spend Christmas Day in Seville. It's somewhere I've always wanted to go. And
you say in your book that you when you were in Seville, you visited this interesting palace of, what's it, Alcazar?
The Alcazar, the Royal Palace of Alcazar. It's got several names. Absolutely phenomenal palace, full of history, and because it's been owned over like 1,000 years, it's had lots of different influences, different decorators, I suppose. You know, when you buy a house, someone else decorates it. Well, these big buildings are. It was phenomenal. All the architecture, and it was fantastic. I loved it.
So that was something that sort of stayed in your mind, didn't it? And then you moved on. Well, no, actually, Christmas Day, you were in a hotel all on your own.
Yeah.
And you did say that the shops were open, which was unusual.
Yeah, the Spanish, I don't know. I didn't go into any Spanish homes. I was only experiencing Spain from the hotel and mingling with people. But they all seem to go out on Christmas Day in England. The roads are empty, aren't they? Everyone's
Yes.
indoors eating Christmas dinners and preparing, unwrapping presents. In Spain, they were all out very early in the morning eating tapas on the streets,
Goodness.
which was really strange.
So whilst you were there Christmas Day in that hotel on your own, did you miss home at all?
I did a little bit, but because it was so removed from being at home, it didn't feel like Christmas Day, if that makes sense. I knew it was Christmas Day because on my Facebook feed I'm seeing everybody unwrapping things and Christmas dinner pictures, but because I was in Spain and there's very few Christmas trees, I spent ages trying to find a knick-knack to put on my next Christmas tree with Feliz Navidad. There's nothing out there. They don't seem to celebrate it in anywhere near the same way that we do.
So then you moved on then, I think, to Cordoba.
Yeah.
And you do say that there were lots of things to do there over the Christmas period, and like an ice rink. There was an ice rink there.
Yeah, a little children's one. There was a big children's area. It's a very family-orientated place. I would love to have taken my children there. I didn't know it existed when my children were small, but yeah, there was an ice rink and lots of activities and like fairground rides. Yeah, it was lovely.
And you did describe that there was a place that you visited. What actually is the Mezquita?
That's a huge. This is one of the reasons I actually did my trip, because I'd read this book and she described the Mezquita so well I had to go there. It's a huge, huge Muslim building which is now got a Catholic church in the middle, because obviously there's a lot of history with all the Spanish taking overs and rulers and things. So it got taken over by Catholics, but because it's such a huge, big building, she put a church in the middle of it. So it's a combination of Islam and Catholic, Christian, and it's very, very interesting building. And just vast. It's got all these columns, these really old columns, and just nothing on the floor for miles. Well, it feels like miles. All really old, and all little churches all the way around the edge. There's all these tiny little chapels, which were just fascinating. And then, of course, the Catholic Church right in the middle of it.
So interesting.
It was absolutely fascinating. And all the history of Spain and Andalucia is something I'm reading up about and learning more because it's fascinating.
That is very interesting. That presumably there were lots of people there visiting there, were there?
Yes, I managed to get, if you go first thing in the morning, you can get in for free for the first hour, which is really useful. But apart from it being free, it's empty. I rushed into the building and it's just completely empty. As I was turning around to come out, there's lots of people filtering in. But to experience that huge, great vastness of this really important building with nobody in there, or they're all behind me.
That sounds a wonderful experience. Well, then you moved on to New Year's Eve in Cordoba.
Yeah.
And you did say that you visited the main square. You felt a little bit uncomfortable.
Yeah, I did feel very English. All the Spanish, all brought carrier bags full of alcohol and crisps and things. It was quite strange, all meeting up their friends. But then when it struck New Year's Eve, it was just so different to England. Very, very different.
Yes. Yeah, and also you did say that at midnight, what was all this about? They were popping grapes in their mouths.
Yeah.
What was that all about?
Yeah,
then?
it was so strange because it all chimed down. I counted, I can speak a little bit of Spanish, so I knew they were counting down. And then normally in England, you rush over and give, Old Lang Syne comes on, you go and give everybody, your family, a kiss and a cuddle and Happy New Year. It's all loud and cheery, isn't it?
Yes.
Not in Spain, no. They all start eating grapes. But 12 of them, which I learned afterwards, because I'm standing there without my grapes. I didn't know I was supposed to bring grapes with me. Watching everybody around me eating grapes. And I'm like, what are they doing? So I went and researched it, and it's 12 of them, one for every month of the year, and it brings you good luck.
Oh, I see.
So every ping, that went ping, and they're all munching another grape.
Wow, that's
quite strange.
That's very well. It's strange to us, I suppose, but to them, it's their customs.
Yeah, which is
isn't it?
why I wanted to travel,
Absolutely.
so that you get to experience these things, don't you? When
That's
you go
right.
to travel, so it's good.
We go on then from New Year's Eve. Something that I thought was very interesting was you stayed in a cave house. Now,
I did.
What was that all about?
Well, in Granada is a huge city, but just next door there's a little village called Sacramonte, which is on the hill. And because of all the history again from Andalucia, there's a huge great wall separating the other side. And these were all people that came from India and places, but they weren't allowed into Granada because of their religion. So they're in the other side, and they made their own houses by scratching out the caves.
Goodness.
Which is just fascinating. So they're all these cave houses, and one of them now they put fronts on them. So the house that I stayed in looked like a house from the outside, but you go in and then you step into the old part of it, and my bedroom was downstairs in a cave.
Gosh.
Yeah, which was fascinating.
Was it frightening?
No, well, it's strange because there's no windows.
No.
It's all sealed in, and you're on your own.
You didn't get claustrophobic?
No, I thought I might. I was a bit anxious about it, but no, it was fine. And I slept really well because the temperature stays the same the whole year round. Yeah, and that night I'd gone out to see flamenco dancing because that's where Sacramonte is where flamenco dancing actually originated. And if you listen to the flamenco dancing, it's full of passion and anger and emotion because of these people that were on the other side of the wall in Sacramonte. So if you go to Granada, you must go to Sacramonte, even if you just go for a stroll around.
Well, all in all, this sounded like a very, very interesting trip. So how much did it cost?
Not even £2,000, I don't think. Was it 1,200 or something? Wasn't much at all. Yeah, just under £2,000, and that was for a whole month away. And the biggest expense was my hotel at Christmas, which was extravagant. I could have knocked that down by several £100. But yeah, I stayed in hostels and hotels, mixed it up a bit, kept the costs down.
So you thoroughly enjoyed that month away?
I did.
And finally, again, would you do it again?
Well, I did go away again for Christmas last year to Morocco, which is book 4.